Welcome to Lock It Down Sports. I'm your host, Locke Cooper, and you follow me on X at Lock It Up Media. That's Lock It Up Media on X. And today you can also check us out at E5280 Sports. That's E5280 Sports. And today on the Lock It Down Sports podcast, is it a good move for the ACC conference? Where the Braves will turn to at catcher? Is this game going to lose its luster? And is Travis Hunter just delusional? And that's where I want to start today, as I don't know if you saw this or not. Travis Hunter thinks what he does is harder than what Shohei Ohtani does. I read that, and then I read it again, and then I read it again to make sure I was understanding what he was saying. Because that's really the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. To me, it seems like Travis Hunter does not understand baseball. Like what the concept, what do you have to do in baseball? The prep time, the being prepared, the side sessions. I mean, Shohei Ohtani is elite. And not just hitting, but pitching as well. What Shohei does is completely different than playing cornerback and receiver. I mean, hitting's hard enough without trying to pitch. He also throws 95 plus, pitches 6+ innings, let alone to have a 3.01 career ERA and a 2.82 batting average. Yes, I know there's all kinds of other numbers. I don't have to tell you how good Shohei Ohtani is. I don't have to give you the 40 home run seasons, the 50 steal seasons, the nasty ERAs, the 160+ innings he's thrown before, all the homers. I don't have to tell you that. You know that. But I just wanted to give you a good surface level of, wow, he actually is pretty good in case you forgot, a 3.01 ERA, 2.82 average, you know? Now, if Travis Hunter wants to be like Shohei Ohtani on the football field, if he was, say, a wide receiver and a defensive tackle and was good to elite at both of them, then you have a conversation. Because wide receiver and defensive tackle is a completely different set of skills and feel for the game. You know, the build, the technique, the skill of trying to get open to be a receiver and sacking the quarterback and stopping the run as a defensive tackle. To me, wide receiver and corner are basically the exact same skill set, just from a different side of the ball. You know, receiver runs routes, catches balls. Corner covers receivers, tries to prevent the receiver from catching the ball, tries to get an interception. Is there any? I don't think there's any difference in the way they prepare, as far as, for the most part, you're reading coverages and you're reading routes, you're covering the receiver. There's no in between side days where I've got to go throw today, or I'm going to go run the lactic acid out of my arm as an additional thing. Yeah, you run as a football player, but pitchers run the lactic acid out, and they start every 5th day. And oh yeah, he's hitting 4 days a week, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, and he pitches. Totally different animal. Travis Hunter, you're good, man. You win the Heisman, obviously. You're going to be a top 10 pick probably, but have a little understanding of what a Shohei Ohtani does compared to what you do. Now, the ACC is in a bit of a pickle, and they did what they had to do to survive, I think, as lawsuit came down. Well, not lawsuit, But Clemson and Florida State have decided to drop the lawsuit against the ACC about trying to get out of the conference. But some things did come out of this lawsuit that helped the ACC survive, but I think it kicks the bucket down the line. As now, it's only a $75 million exit fee instead of a $165 million exit fee in 2030. There's also will not be even revenue distribution, and the revenue distribution will be based on TV ratings now, not how well your team is doing. Doesn't matter if you have a good record, your team's playing well, you're going to the conference championship game, like an unexpected SMU, that doesn't matter. It matters about TV ratings and eyeballs. So who does that cater to? Two of the three teams that were wanting to get out, obviously Florida State, Clemson, and Miami. Three most watched teams in the conference. Now, they've already have history of success and larger fan bases. So it's going to cater and it's going to help to them. So that's one of the things they were fighting for. And they're probably the best, and that's probably the best chance of keeping this league intact by catering to those three schools, at least for a while. Those three schools also will get to play Notre Dame more on a rotating basis, based on the scheduled decision making with the conference of the ACC, which will then, what will that do? Yep, you know it. It'll help the TV ratings. And see, that's the crazy thing. It's not about how well you do let's just say a 10-2 Georgia Tech team. Oh wow, Georgia Tech's 10-2. How about that? That's cute. What about a 9-3 Duke team? Oh, Duke, not a 6-6 Florida. I'm just gonna go nice and say 6-6 Florida State team. They've been struggling the last few years. That, to me, that's an issue where it's a ratings result, not a performance result. With this ACC decisioning making and the uneven revenue, this kind of reminds me back to the Big 12 days when you had Oklahoma and Texas receiving the larger shares. And what did it do? It resulted in solid programming saying, I'm tired of this crap. I'm leaving. And Texas A&M and Nebraska both leaving the conference. Because Texas and Oklahoma are receiving larger shares. They're like, we're just as good as you. We bring in just as many eyeballs. And at the time, they were right. Texas A&M was better or just as good as Texas. They just didn't have that Longhorn brand, but results-wise, they weren't. They said, screw it. And SEC said, come on. I could see another situation like this as well. I could see NC State, North Carolina, Virginia Tech, maybe leading at some point if they're playing well. Like, why don't we get any love? Even if we're playing well, where's our money? Why aren't we getting that primetime TV spot with the TV eyeballs, huh? You're playing at noon, Florida State, against, we're just going to say a non-conference Purdue game, or a conference game against Boston College. We're the 10-win program right now. We're the 8-2 program. Shouldn't we be getting based on results just because we might have a smaller fan base? right? Right? And I get the frustration. Um, it's the ACC. I think it's trying to survive, to fight, to do whatever they can to try to hold the fort together. Really, for now, I think all this will lead to a ACC breakup and split. What does it turn into? Does it turn into a Big 12 where FSU, Clemson, Miami leave, the rest stay, and then they're grabbing and trying to hold a conference together like the Big 12? I mean, the Big 12 has got quantity. They don't have any premier teams. They've got a quantity conference, but no big dogs. Arizona State tried to change that. They tried to, make some noise in the playoffs, but going in, it's who can win that conference. There's a list of about 7 or 8, 9 teams. You're like, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, all right, okay. You don't have to fight me for it to make a valid argument. Yeah, all right. So I can see that's I think where the ACC is going. Who knows what actually turns out with it. Now, something that has not turned out well has been the injury bug for Sean Murphy. He cracked his ribs when he got hit by a pitch. And Murphy will be out 4 to 6 weeks, which means he'll miss a week or 2 to start the season if things go as planned. So if he was going to get hurt, fortunately, he got hurt early spring training. So now, where does that leave the Braves? What do they do? I mean, they've got veteran catchers Sandy Leone, Kurt Casale, and Chadwick Trump. Chadwick Trump's out of options, which was pretty much, he was penciled in to be the backup catcher everyone assumed. Sandy Leone, a veteran guy, up and down, been in the big leagues for a while. Same thing, Kurt Casale. Then you've got a top prospect in Drake Baldwin. They like him. They like what they've seen of him in AAA. Do you want to start a service clock? Do you want to start a service clock for a week or 2? Not knowing how he's going to actually respond in the regular season. Spring training is completely different than the regular season. He might come up and continue to rake, but I think there was a reason you're going to start him in AAA as it is. Yes, Sean Murphy, obviously, you want him to start 5 days a week. You didn't want Drake Baldwin to sit. You want him to start 5 days a week in AAA. There's a reason you're going to send him down. You thought he needed a little bit more work. Yeah, I know he looked good against Sandy Alcantara, one of the best in the game. Spring training, though. So take that into consideration. I don't want to see what he looks like in AAA still. Give him a little bit more seasoning. Start him in AAA would be my plan. I think they're going to go with the vet options. 2 of the 3. I don't know how they're going to end up with their decision of Chadwick Trump, Leone, Casale. I think to keep some catching depth at the beginning of the season. Since Chadwick Trump is out of options, and both Leone and Casale have opt-outs. It's a different discussion if it was in June or July and Murphy got hurt. Then it's easily bring Baldwin up, even if he's hitting pretty good in AAA. You let him go, you let him swing it. Then it's easy. But it's tricky. I think if the group of 2 to 3 of them, however it is, say they hit 240, 250 in that 8 or 9 spot, get some hits, play good defense, call it a good game. That's all you want, you know. That's all you're asking for. And you know what? Baldwin could even he might end up doing that. Then you're a little bit frustrated. You could potentially lose one of those guys. I know we're talking about catcher here, but I think you're familiar with the problem the Braves have had at the catching spot in 2021, the catching carousel, the catching issues, you know. We've seen it before. We know Anthopoulos does not care about service time at this point with his guys. He's trying to win, and that railroad could be part of it. The Phillies going to be good. The Mets are better. Mets are going to be pretty good too. We're nicked up to start the season, obviously without Ron, without Strider. So maybe those couple of wins that Drake Baldwin helped you with the bat might be worth it. I don't know. It's so tough. I don't know. I would go with the veteran catching core. At least 2 to 3 of those guys. But then you've got the option of, do you go sign a catcher? James McCann or Yasmani Grandal. I mean, if they would sign for a minor league deal, then you see what happens. Then one of those guys is your backup when Murphy's back. Then it might work a little bit better. You don't feel as bad losing Chadwick Trump. Potentially losing him. I'm not saying you're losing him. There's a lot of options. It's just another hole in the lineup you just didn't quite expect this early, knowing you're already going to be down Acuna, down Strider, 2 big pieces, and then you add a third one in Sean Murphy, who some of these April games are going to be important. You don't want to fall too big of a hole, but I'm still would go the vet catching route for now to see how it transpires. And I think a lot of that too is you see where Murphy's at. If he's rehabbing a little bit slow, taking him long to recover, then I think you go Drake Baldwin. But if you know he's going to be there in a week, go with those two, keep Baldwin down in AAA. Now, this is something I'm sad about. And it's monopoly. And what do I mean by monopoly? Well, it's changing. It's turning into a phone game now, which is too bad. I'm sure there are some Monopoly phone games out there, but you're playing the computer. I don't have them, I'm assuming, right? But the board game of Monopoly where you sit down with your friends, with your family, and you argue about who's going to be the banker so they can cheat, or how you're going to start, what piece you want to be, that's pretty much disappearing as it's turning into a phone game. What do I mean by that is there's a Monopoly app for banking, which is designed to speed up play. Each player will now manage their own money via the app and will manage all the properties for you. I read that And I'm like, doesn't that take some of the charm out of it? Doesn't that take some of the fun out of it? Doesn't that take some of the math and decision making out of it with having to wait, how much money do I have? Okay, all right. The tangible part of the game, what's making it real, should I buy this property? How much money do I have left? Is this the best way to go about things, of the tangible stuff of, passing go and collecting $200, right? I kind of, in a way, review, or if you look at it as, gambling, where if you're just doing slots and you're not putting money in, you've got it on this, card or whatever. It's like this virtual money where you don't see it, and you can easily get in more trouble by adding more money. Where if you're playing a table game, say roulette or craps or blackjack, you got chips. You see the money that's stacking up with the money you're losing. It's a more visual concept where you see it. You have a better understanding of what you do at that tangible thing. With Monopoly, with the board game, wasn't some of the point about all this is playing the game without the electronics, without the phone? So you're with your friend, you're talking, you're going back and forth, you're counting your money, you're figuring out your next move, as opposed to on the phone. Okay, I made my play. Now I'm on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or TikTok until my next play, right? Right? I thought that was some of the fun, cool parts about not playing a game with your phone, playing an actual board game. And I don't think I'm showing my age that much. I'm not that old, but that's what board games are designed for, I think. That removing of the social media aspect. I don't know. But what do I know? I guess I'm getting old these days. As always, you can follow me on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at Lock It Up Media. That's Lock It Up Media on Twitter. You can also check us out at E5280 Sports. You've been listening to Lock It Down Sports. Talk to you next week.